Welcome everybody to another episode of the established 1982 podcast, the Geek Culture Podcast, hosted by responsibly irresponsible adults that have loved video games, comic books, movies, and TV ever since 1982. This is your boy Wally Analog, and I'm joined of course by the gatekeeper of civility and order, Rose Roy.
Yes, sir.
And of course, it wouldn't be complete without 82's Wish Come True. Wish When Do.
What up?
And it's appropriate because we're going to be talking about this good Andor, the Star Wars. But to help us talk about it is one of my favorite guests, one of my favorite people. He's the smartest man in Tennessee. It is Van. It is Van Everette. Van Everette, the host of the Scenario Show.
I know. What do you say, Van? Thank you.
I'm glad. Thank you for having me. I always trip me talking about the smartest person in Tennessee.
I'm trying to take.
I'm glad he didn't mention. Yeah, I'm glad he didn't mention how I badgered you all to let me on this particular episode.
Yeah, you did not badger us. We had a whole
thread. Listen. Your thoughtful input on the Facebook group as it relates to this show had to be shared.
Hey, thanks for the roses in the mail, though.
Masses.
I mean, he got roses.
I got roses in the mail.
I was on a Scenario. I didn't get any roses. I know you just. Van, get it together, man.
Yeah, man. So we are pleased. We are pleased, man. We are pleased to have because I'm interested to hear more of your insight. Yeah, because you are not. I mean, while you appreciate Star Wars and you are a fan, can we say you're a fan of Star Wars? We can, right? We can.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's just here lately. You've been underwhelmed.
No, that's not what he said. Yeah. Well, we had this conversation online. One of the things that I know that Van said was he was looking forward to when we move off of the Skywalker saga and see the direction of Ahsoka and everything. So I remember that, but don't be putting words in Van's mouth about you.
Well, I did not. I didn't. See, you putting words in mine. I didn't say you didn't lie. I said you were. Am I incorrect in saying that you have been underwhelmed by what they put in as it relates to Star Wars on Disney Plus? Am I right or am I wrong on that?
I was sorely disappointed with Obi-Wan.
So that's even worse than underwhelmed. He was disappointed.
One show, and we were all, and I think we all have written
that Boba Fett.
Yeah, Boba Fett.
There wasn't much else. I mean, what else is there other than Mandalorian?
The Mandalorian.
Well, that's 2 out of 3.
I like Jedi Stories.
I didn't get his opinion on Jedi Stories.
Yeah, that was dope.
Oh, you mean Tales of the
Jedi?
Yeah, Tales of the Jedi.
Those were dope.
These are very dope. Okay. Dave Filoni, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. All right. So we don't need to go into our usual synopsis done by the.
It's a full series.
It's a full series because we did that. So how do we want to do this? Do we want to go with our thoughts on it? I mean, you can give it a little baby
synopsis.
Okay. We'll Rose do the honors because that's what he do.
So pretty much, and y'all got to help me on the planets and all that stuff. But
that's why Wish is here.
Right.
It's my only job.
No.
He's the resident Star Wars aficionado.
Yeah, so pretty much the gist of it is Cassian Andor is recruited by Luthen Riel. Is it Riel or Real? Luthen.
Yeah.
All right. So he's recruited by Luthen to do this heist where they're getting
Imperial
ISB money from it's some I forgot what. It was like an output post or something, and they were funneling money through that. Yeah. So he wanted somebody a man of his particular skills to help the rebellion steal this money for the rebellion. So pretty much that was the gist of most of the series. But with that, you got to see the inner workings of how the rebellion is getting formed or is formed. You start to see, the Senate on Coruscant, some of the inner workings, some kind of Game of Thrones kind of stuff going on, and then we just basically dive into the life of Andor. We get to see, his closest connections and things like that. So I don't know.
You did good.
I did. So I skipped over something.
Yeah, you did. Okay, so the show's basically setting us up before Rogue One to better understand the beginnings of the rebellion. Coming out of Orta 66. And the show is intentional to give us a look not only at Andor as he develops into a rebel, as you just noted, but more even so the underbelly and the working of what happens when a revolution starts. And so I always want to add that on there because I'm sure we're going to talk about it. Maybe we can get right into it. There is just so much chatter on this does not feel like a regular Star Wars series. And I think that was intentional.
Right.
And it's wonderful, it's refreshing, and it's welcomed. And as a Star Wars fan, anyone who has followed George Lucas, what we're watching, I think, has always been intended. Because I think people think like, oh, this is not your regular Star Wars. This is not the point. And it's like, actually, it's the quite opposite. He created this movie in the mind of thinking about fascism and thinking about Nazis and thinking about Germans, the whole movement, right? That was, the whole basis of it. And that story of what happens when the smaller man gets squeezed out by someone who wants to have absolute power. So we're watching that, and I just wanted to set that up so folks go in, because I think folks going into this show thinking, where's the Skywalker family? Where's the lightsabers? Where's the epic fights? And we haven't even seen Palpatine, which we know is in the background.
Don't need him.
Right? We really, really don't. But this is to really talk about the seed of a revolution and of a rebellion. So
Right.
Yeah, so that's the setup. So do you want to let our guest go first in overall thoughts? Or
no, I would love for that to happen because as Van, as you noted, you made a request to be here. So that means that you really have something to share. That's probably because of the way it's written. It's a thoughtfully written show. Right. Not to say that lightsabers and stuff are not thoughtful or whatever, but in comparison, it does shine a light on a lot of real world things in a sci-fi setting, and those things in particular are right up Van's alley, because he'll get on that soapbox and get to preaching. And I'm here to pass the plate when you finished.
Van, I would love to hear your overall
thoughts please
of the series. And then I have questions. I know I've been dying to get into dialogue with Van.
I know. That's why. Yeah,
so I'm like, Van, you go first.
To happen. Yeah.
Like I'm double dutching. Go first,
I
Van.
think I might be done talking. So go ahead, Van.
Okay. Well, obviously, I think it was a great show. I think it was the best show as far as just along the lines of sci-fi genre stuff this year by a long shot. I think it was the best thing that had come out. The thing that everything that Wish was mentioning about what the show was about is why I enjoyed it so much. The thing that I enjoy about it that I think doesn't get mentioned, how much it adds to the tapestry of what Star Wars is. It doesn't take anything away from it, And I think some people feel like if they weren't going to get, as we've said, lightsabers and the Jedi and that, those things, that it would take something away. But the show, what it does, it adds the layers to all of those things. It adds layers to these ideas about fascism, about Nazism, about people who want to rule in that type of way, and what it does to people, what it does to living, breathing beings. And I think that's the thing that's probably making some people a bit uncomfortable about it, is because, to be honest, what happens is everybody loves bad guys and good guys, and because we all believe we're the good guy. But when you have to look at why bad guys are bad guys, then all of a sudden
they start seeing themselves in the mirror.
Yeah, exactly. The details make you a little, itchy. It's like, ooh, I don't know. I didn't know that they were going to, show what happens when you throw people in prison without giving them, a
due
fair
process,
chance, because you're profiting off of prison. People don't like talking about that. But so yeah, it's a brilliant show. It's one of the most brilliantly written things that I've ever seen in television, and definitely one of the most brilliantly written things I've ever seen in Star Wars. To watch all of these people and how they are affected by fascism. So now you get a reason why it's bad. Don't get me wrong, Darth Vader, he's got an entire black suit of armor. You just kind of get the idea he's the bad guy. But these people look like, they even show you the inner workings of the office of the ISB. You know what I'm saying? The first 3 episodes, one of the main characters, Dedra, you don't really know that she's a bad guy. You just know she's working for the bad guys. But she seems to be getting kind of a lot of pushback, being a woman looking to move up in the ranks. She's getting a lot of pushback.
Yes.
And you're almost rooting for her.
Right.
Yes, until later.
So to see that happening, when I get to see the inner workings of how fascism works, then all of a sudden it's a new thing. So that's what makes it so
right.
And see, you mentioned that. You mentioned the whole Darth Vader and drawing a clear line of delineation between white hat, black hat. And see, back in the day, Darth Vader, black hat, and he's cool, and he's bad, but it was still okay to like him. Well, they clearly showed what evil is.
They set him up,
and it's now the Empire. They're terrible.
They are
like completely just awful, and you want no part of them after this anymore. You start looking at them a different way. Like I love Darth Vader, but doggone,
I say Darth Vader.
Darth Vader was a good dude.
Well, Darth Vader.
To me, I love
Darth Vader is actually German for Dark Father. Just throwing it out there.
Either way,
Darth means dark, and Vader means father. But don't forget that Darth Vader is still the chosen one. So at the end of the day, yes, he was your classic black hat, but he actually did bring balance to the Force because he's the one who actually killed Palpatine, not Luke. But neither here nor there. I'm not discrediting where you're going with in regards of. We're now looking at depths of evil in a way that's not just in one person or one character. Right?
Oh, no.
Like it's like, Darth Vader against Luke, right? Black and white. Andor is definitely showing that there's layers to it. And to kind of ducktail off of something Van said, it's uncomfortable because you're also watching a rebellion that's not passive, right? We're watching a revolution where they are killing people, where they are taking stuff back. When you think about Saw, you're looking at different sects of revolution, right? And we're jumping a bit because I have so many questions. But you have different pieces of the movement of this rebel, where you have Cassian, who doesn't want to participate, but eventually becomes because it's survival. Mm-hmm. Right? And you have Saw, who's the Malcolm X, if you will, by any means necessary. I'm running and gunning.
And they're uncomfortable with them too.
Seriously, we didn't even get deep into his character. I mean, but if you watch anything Star Wars related, be it this or Rogue One or even in the Clone Wars, Rebels as well. Thank you. Go ahead, man. Saw has been. We watched his arc of why he became the radical part of it, right? And then you have Luthian, who's intentionally antagonizing things and starting things to force the rebellion to happen, and then you have the funder and the passive in
Mothma.
Yes, and Mothma.
Yeah.
And so I think culturally we can see this happening right now as we speak, and I think to your point, that's what makes people uncomfortable because it's happening in front of our eyes. And Van, one of the questions I wanted to pull you into, because I think you brought this up, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you even said you see a parallel between this and The Wire. Am I right in that?
Yeah.
So
we'll
talk more about that.
It's showing. Yeah, because one of the things that's the common thread in Star Wars, if you ever pay attention, like we were talking about Rebels, if you go back and watch even Star Wars, is bureaucracy.
Correct.
But this show shows it up close. So there are all these pieces of this large machine that are happening, and there are a lot of people who are involved in the machine. They're not like mustache twirling, I want to rule the world. It's just like, I want a promotion. I don't want to lose my job. So that's the show literally begins with a guy who says there were some murders that happened. We need to look into it. And his boss telling him, nah, we don't need to look into it because I don't want to stir anything up. And that is how a system fails. That's how systems fail people. Now, of course, the murderer was Andor, and of course, we're supposed to root for Andor. He's the hero. But at the same time, we're looking at a system that doesn't want to look into murder. And it's like, that's the same thing that happens on The Wire, is that they show you that the system is failing, not just because of the evil that there's some people are doing, but because of the apathy that other people have.
Right.
And that both of them still, if you're at the bottom of that, it still crushes you the same.
Right.
It's no difference. It's, you don't feel better about the guy who ruined your life just because he didn't care and he was just doing his job. And that's what's happening. Yeah.
And to your point, and also the disease in the system. Because what we also saw in Andor that I thought was really interesting, and Andor said it several times throughout the series, they're so full of themselves and they're so confident that nothing can happen, they don't even realize how faulty they are. because they think they're doing the right thing, right? And so, for instance, if in his last set, these last 4 episodes, if you recall, and please forgive me because the names are off, but they were setting. So basically, Luthen and Saul were talking about him partnering with someone, and the ISB was setting them up. And so remember, Luthen's whole thing was, let them do it. I know we're sacrificing a body, but the ISB is not really looking to really solve this mystery. What they're looking to do is capture something so that what's his name? Sorry, the Emperor would not pay any attention to what's happening over here. So said differently, so I was worried about them finding out who stole the money and getting deeper into the rebellion. But that's not what the ISB is doing. They're saying we want to win this win so we can get this off our necks and our back. They're not giving enough credit that something else larger is happening.
Dope on the table.
Right? So it's like, let's solve this enough where we will not get questioned in our job. Right? But let's not really solve the problem, which is why I was like, I'm not rooting for her, but I am, because she's really smart. And she's like, no, there's a bigger heist happening. There's a bigger problem happening. There's a bigger disease that we're supposed to solve for. And none of these guys want to really deal with it. They want to leave it on, ISB wants to leave it on a surface level, just enough to say, look, we're doing a really, really good job, and get their own initiatives taken care of. And so just to help out with that,
which is their flaw.
And to your point, it's in the Star Wars story. So if you guys, I'm going to take you off, but come back. If you remember, in the ISB, there are different levels of directors, right? And then, oh gosh, why am I losing names right now?
Was it Krieger?
Not Krieger.
The black guy?
Krieger was the person that they went after.
No, that's right. Sorry.
Yes. But no, this person's actually in Rebels. Who's the bad guy in Rebels? In Star Wars, the bad guy in Rebels. I don't want to say
the Grand Admiral.
Grand Admiral Spawn. Right, him.
Thrawn.
Thank you. I want to say Thrawn. Okay, follow me. So Thrawn, when you read his books, basically Thrawn was always fighting like the young lady in Star Wars. She's like, we can't put all our resources in the Death Star. So he had a whole nother project that would have been a lot more successful than the Death Star. He had a project that was really pretty much like, guerrilla warfare, where it's like biochemical warfare, or something would be pretty much like, you cannot get this wrong. So Thrawn's project got cut off because they wanted to do the Death Star. But everybody knows that the Death Star was not the best project to do, because look at how massive time it takes, money it takes, and then also just look how big it is, right?
Right.
So it can destroy planets, but it had a lot of flaws. Where I'm going with it is within the Empire itself, you have this internal fight of power and neglect. Right. And they're so full of themselves that they're not really trying to solve the problem of the rebels as much as they're trying to get their own way, right? It's breeding, just like our own systems are breeding a ground of who can have the most power, and the people you're supposed to be serving and watching or taking care of get neglected in the meantime. That's where I'm going with it. So I went off to Thrawn just to say that even internally, and maybe we'll see a little bit more when Ahsoka comes out, there were issues with him. Because he felt that's part of his with Thrawn. He was pissed.
I gotta watch Rebels.
You have to watch Rebels, but his books are really, really, really good, and it starts to highlight.
The Rebels is excellent.
Rebels is one of the best.
Yes,
but it starts to highlight just the ignorance and drunkenness of power that even within the Empire, they started to slip, and the ball started to they start to lose control a bit internally, because it's about absolute power. I went a long way to say that, but I think that was also something that was a theme throughout. At some point, you think they'll be prepared for what's happening, and they're not paying attention, including all the spies. There's mad spies in the Empire. So
let me ask this question. I'm gonna bring the intelligence down a notch by asking this question, because y'all kicking some facts and knowledge.
That's why I'm just not even gonna keep my mouth closed.
What I find astonishing in watching this show is kind of the lack of enthusiasm for the show from Star Wars fans. Do you guys think it's because you gonna make me think I just need lightsaber action, or is it what you're saying? I don't want to see the inner workings, which points to maybe a particular set of geek culture.
A lot like America.
Yeah, but I would say not to make it maybe a racial thing or
it's not. Yeah, it's not.
It's more of a geek culture thing. Well, where's Baby Yoda? And like
right. Sell them toys.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
do you want to respond to that first?
Because I do find it shocking that nobody is really. Yeah. It's not as well,
and it's by far the best show.
And it's by far the best show.
By the numbers. So just to throw out of stats, just so you guys know, we're not just saying like out of the ether or for watching comments. This is actually rating below Boba Fett.
Yes,
that's ridiculous.
But as I look at the communities of people I follow, nothing but high remarks.
That's correct. So it's a small. And I don't want to be.
Small is even the right word because
relatively speaking,
it's funny
right? Because casuals don't want none of it.
Right, a lot of people didn't even like Boba Fett, so it's jarring that this is under it. But yet, everyone I talk to, even people who are not Star Wars fans, are in love with it. So I have an answer, but Van, I don't know if you was going to respond to what you think it might be.
Well, I think the truth is that, and I've recognized this after by the time Obi-Wan had come out, what I recognized was, just by listening to different people talk about it, is that Star Wars fandom is pretty much in two factions. Mm-hmm. There are people who what they want is the thing that made them love it in the first place,
which is a Skywalker
they want to
saga.
keep coming,
right?
Yeah, well, they want to keep coming back to that, and there's nothing
wrong with
nothing inherently wrong with that. You know, you love what you love. And then there are people who love the universe and want to see everything that they think it has to offer.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They're open to the idea that it has other things to offer.
Yes.
So, and the problem is that unfortunately there doesn't seem to be a lot of overlap between those two. There are some people who want both. Like I love The Mandalorian, and I also love Andor, and I also love Rebels.
Right.
So, but they're all different things. They're all made for different subsects of the audience. There's not a lot of overlap, and I think that's where the problem is going to kind of come in.
Yeah,
at least that's what I get from it.
Yeah, and I think so. To answer the question, but just kind of real quickly, I think like the way we look at hip hop, right? Like I would never compare KRS-One to Kid and Play. And so you have people who just, it's hip hop, and they will try to KRS-One's better. Like Kid and Play style is different than KRS-One, right? Where Biggie goes and what the Roots are doing, to me, is like two different things. And I think if you love hip hop, you can appreciate
it's a gumbo. It's
right,
all
that's correct.
It's not monolithic, right? Like there's different layers to it. So I think similar to the Star Wars universe, and if I can, I'm gonna go over to the Skywalker thing, Skywalker side of thing rather. So for us who are I'm a fan of both. Like I said, I think I'm getting hip hop. Everything can exist. Two things can be true, right? With the Skywalker saga, I think where some of the frustration comes in at is one, the Skywalker saga is kind of, I think people felt disappointed how the legacy continued.
Right.
So I think there's a frustration, for lack of a better word, that it was not really complete, right? Mm-hmm. When you went back and you created Anakin, you did all the prequels, you had the original saga, and then these last three were like trash, right? And so there was a lot of, and don't forget the time in between these things. And we didn't have Disney Plus. So I think for some folks, there's a lot of unanswered stories that we've been reading in books and comics.
Right.
That when we're thinking now that's going to come on TV, we're going to get full, complete stories.
Right.
And I think there's a little bit of anticipation there, right? I think there is, as much as we want to move on, finish Luke out. We know there's a whole temple, there's students, there's a story there.
Yeah.
And I know I'm even team, you can do the last three over, and I'm fine with that, right? And so I think there's some anticipation of wrapping that off correctly, because you're talking about almost over 40 years of that story, and that still has holes.
Right.
And to Van's point, for us to be a little bit more open, those holes are opportunities to tell different parts and stories in different parts of the galaxy and fill those pieces in, which I believe is Andor is doing.
Yeah.
Right? So I think the beef is that some people mistake nostalgia for story. I think that's another point. Nostalgia does not necessarily mean story, because Book of Boba Fett, for example. Book of Boba Fett brought in all these beloved characters, and the story was still trash.
Right. Exactly.
But
that
people were satisfied because they got to see,
awful.
Because they got to see Jabba, and they got to see, all these different characters. They got to see Return of Luke, which was the best episode ever.
Right.
But still not and they felt satisfied. But that's not story.
Right.
Because
it's fan service.
Exactly. And so, where on Andor, we're getting great story development.
Right.
We're getting great beats, great character development, and
good pacing.
Yeah.
And I
And I think that no one is recognizing that, even compared to anything, like I think I said earlier, any other sci-fi that's come out, even Marvel, we've been talking about it. Y'all been doing sugar, honey, iced tea,
that's nice.
Story. I saved it for families out there. Yes. The storytelling has not been that rich, right? You know, except Black Panther gonna pull that out because we all knew it's gonna be an anomaly. But at the end of the day, like the story was lacking, but certain people were okay because they were fighting and they got to see nostalgic characters and they felt they were served and they really weren't. So those are my 2 points. So I can understand it because I don't think the Luke saga. It's missing something, but at the same time, we're getting it. Yeah, we are getting it.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to derail over the bigger discussion of how awesome Andor was. But I think what I find shocking is people are saying we want more Star Wars, and then you give them more Star Wars and go, hey, we're gonna give you Game of Thrones mixed in with some espionage. I can imagine a show where it's just the Senate and it's like a Star Wars House of Cards,
Yeah.
Like that could be intriguing as well.
Yeah.
But if you sell that to people, they're gonna be like, "No, I'll pass. I don't hear any lightsabers in that."
Yeah, and I don't think it's a one-trick pony. I don't think it's one answer. I think some folks feel like I'd rather you spend time fixing what happened with Luke, and they're not necessarily wrong because there's some things that were kind of weird.
Yes.
Right. And then you have some people like we're talking about, expand the universe.
Right.
Like, to tell the other stories. There's so many books and comics and so many other characters. And we haven't even touched Star Wars pre when we talk about, the original Jedi. Like, there's a whole world. And if you watch Rebels, spoiler alert, they open up a whole nother category around Jedi.
Right.
And time travel and more spiritual. Like, there's levels to it that all have room to be explored. And I don't think there's one answer, right? But I'm also not surprised. Star Wars fans are known to be some of the most finicky people in fandom.
Right. So last question on this topic. Do you feel from a business standpoint that Disney, Lucasfilm, how would you classify this show? Are they trying to capture more? Are they trying to gain more casuals? Like, oh, we're going to invite people in with this. There might be some people that are not into the lightsaber stuff, but we give them this espionage, this political thriller.
I think, and we know this wasn't a secret. I think what Disney's trying to do is trying to Marvelize Star Wars. For all the reasons why Marvel works. Different audiences, but part of that is because there is a cohesive story that we can chop up into little bits and sell for the rest of our lives. I think that is the marketing initiative. And so I don't know I don't think somebody's at the table say, we need more intellectuals to be into Star Wars. I think it's how do we create more stories and content to create a larger, more vast universe to draw more consumers, period. Because we've been resting our laurels on this 1978 situation, and you can only put so many movies out. We need to start making more money and franchising Star Wars a little bit more. I think that's the goal, and whoever comes on board with that comes on board with that.
Right. Because later generations don't care about Star Wars like we did, right? Like, there's so many more choices and alternatives they have in terms
and their
of
entry point was different,
right? Yes. From science fiction, like what did we have? We had Star Wars, maybe some Star Trek, and not a lot,
right?
You know what I'm saying? These Slim kids and the millennials and Gen Z, man, they don't have to sit there and listen to hear. You don't hear. They don't even know nothing about Luke Skywalker. So now, yes, you have to make them care about something else.
True.
So, but they look like they were trying to create something a little different, but they couldn't do it without infusing old stuff to try to, get fan service, right? Like, what I'm saying? Let me go on here. This isn't Yoda, but it's a baby. You get
I don't know.
Baby Yoda.
In Disney's defense, if y'all recall, I had the same feeling when Rogue One came out. And now I hear a lot of people saying I have a whole lot of appreciation for Rogue One.
And I'm one of them. I hated that movie until I watched Andor. And I
rewatched
Rogue One now. I like it.
The same thing because there really were no lightsabers in Rogue One neither.
No.
I thoroughly enjoyed Rogue One.
I did
for the same reasons we're talking about now, right? So
yeah, I was wrong on that, man.
I think they've been trying to create different levels, even in Solo. A lot of people didn't appreciate it, but I did.
Oh, that was like my favorite one.
Well, Solo, don't forget that George Lucas had a project that was all about the underground world and gangster world, not what we saw on Boba Fett. I'm talking like on Coruscant, like that those lower levels.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be really, really, really gritty, which ties into Solo, because Solo was about, basically, it was Godfather or nothing, right? Or not, is it Godfather? Yeah, is it right?
Gangster,
yeah, gangster movie. Yeah. So I think there was an attempt to do gangster, but I think to your point, the elephant in the room is, as much as people say they want it to still be wrapped up and packaged around this Jedi lightsaber situation,
right?
And it just can't move off from it,
right?
But I have a question, if I can. I would love to know, talk a little bit about the format, because I'm gonna admit, I think Wally and I had these conversations in the beginning, when they were kind of like pacing things out, I was like, if they don't show some action soon, this might go left. And then I realized maybe about the 7th episode in, it's a format. It's this arc of good content, character, build, payoff. Yeah, and after the payoff, it pivots back to character, build, payoff. And I think for me, when I really truly was like, oh, they caught that, was episode 10. I was like, I apologize. The way y'all slow burned this to give me 10, I would sit through that 1,000 times more. So I'd love to hear you guys' thought on pacing and the approach to the show.
I really appreciate it. It didn't feel like, okay, we they shot a movie and then chopped it up into episodes. It felt like every episode was intentional. It felt like, we're purposely not going to give you action for this episode because we got a story to tell. And I really appreciate that. And I also think, and that's why I was asking these questions, because in this environment, I think our attention spans are so short. If you don't show me that trailer with the action in it,
which is why people probably stuck.
And it's interesting. They're like after, not to derail, I want y'all to all comment, but like after the series was done, I noticed they put it on Hulu. They put it on FX.
They put it on TV.
They put it on TV
ABC.
on ABC.
Yeah.
So more people could watch it because I think they weren't pleased with the numbers.
They weren't.
Yeah.
They weren't.
Right.
Lower than Boba Fett is not a compliment.
Right.
Not at all.
Right.
Ben, what say you? Ben?
No, I think the one of the things that I've noticed when I've seen on different comment sections was that there were people who said, well, I tapped out after 3 episodes, and the first 3 episodes are not action driven at all.
Right.
It's all set up.
Yes.
And so if that was all you could get through, you with good reason, you may think this isn't something I want to watch. You don't know what else there is to offer. And that's a risky thing to do,
right?
When you're already giving people something different. I will say that I was willing to make the investment, but I can understand why there were people who weren't willing to make that investment if they already were getting something they weren't accustomed to. And then for the first 3 episodes, it's not really anything action oriented at all.
Right.
That's enough to make you say, no, this isn't for me, obviously. But
I can hear my friends say, "Oh, I pulled my phone out." It's like,
it's one of those things where you hope that people tell. Well, I know that those first 3 episodes are slow, but trust me, come back to it.
Right.
You'll be satisfied. It's the thing you kind of hope.
Yeah, but the robbery happened in I think episode 4, and I was like, oh, I see what you did there.
Yes.
But to your point, if people didn't even stick around to the 4th one, they missed it. You're right.
It's a daring move. It's seriously like for me, I thought it was a bold move that they didn't. It wasn't like...
Yeah, that kind of goes against everything TV is about, man, because you got to write in such a way that they'll come back. This ain't a movie, right? Like, you write a movie, that if they're in there, if they're willing to walk out of the theater then and try to get their money back, good luck. But at that point, they got your ticket.
It felt like...
they got your money.
It felt like Tony Gilroy and his team just said, no, we're going to tell a good story here, and we're going to stick true to our guns, and this is the mission.
That's pretty accurate.
Right.
Go ahead, Wally.
I don't know of any TV shows that was that effective at building up that much tension every episode. I mean, it was always the whole time you just waiting for this shit.
Scandal might be the closest thing I can think of. I mean, and when I say Scandal, it's not apples to apples, but Shonda did a good job on Scandal where like to your point, it was like we were very like I have to finish it.
But see, even Shonda, her stuff is like she builds her stuff for this OMG moment, right? Whereas this ain't really that. It's like
right, that's the closest
you're
I can think
watching.
of.
Yeah, it's like you're just watching this thing. It's like, man, this is what's happening here. You know what I'm saying? And you just you're just locked up waiting for, and then like we said, when the payoff is there, you're just like, man, next Wednesday, trying to stay up to 2 a.m.
Sir.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what is going on?
Sir. I enjoyed it, clearly. And then I think also, going on to your point, Gilroy was very intentional about, 1, pacing, storytelling, 2, music. I was watching something where they mentioned that the music in the show, when they were actually on set, they were playing the actual music.
Right.
So the music was very intricate. Matter of fact, I got to tell Wally, go back and listen to the opening.
Mm-hmm.
And come to find out, the opening, what we were listening to, was actually her processional. This whole opening was listening to the instruments tuned up.
Marvel.
Right.
Yeah.
But that was actually cool. I love that part. That music was my favorite part when they were walking in. That was
the intention of detail, right? And then they also were very intentional about, we are not going to, no disrespect to the dome, but we're going to actually tape in actual spaces. We're going to actually make and create community.
Yes.
We're not going to do the whole dome piece. We're going to be really intentional about building out these sets and creating a world. And so with all those choices, and also, when they wrote this deal, which I'm happy about, is they wrote it for 2 seasons. I mean, Disney brought in 2 seasons. So regardless what the numbers look like, we're getting a season 2. And that season 2 is going to lead us right up to Rogue One. So he's going to finish his story whether we like it or not. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, where I'm going with it is, you're right. Like, it was a bold move, but all of it was intentional, and in my mind, it paid off.
Right. Hey, Van, what was your comment on the pacing and to Wish's the answer?
I think the pacing. Yeah, I think when she was mentioning some of the things that was the strong points of it. One of the greatest strong points of this thing was scope. The way that it did scope. For instance, it's the first time in years that you saw stormtroopers and you felt the threat.
Right, you actually were afraid of them.
Like we watched movies where you've seen thousands of stormtroopers with guns walking toward a situation and you don't feel threatened by that. You think, somebody's going to block their lasers. They'll kind of they're going to miss or whatever. But it's maybe it's the 4th, 5th episode is the first time you see a TIE fighter, one TIE fighter, fly overhead of these people while they're going up this hill, and it's bone chilling because you realize everything could fall apart if that TIE fighter sees them, and it's the first time that the Empire you see the threat of everything that they're doing because you're seeing it from the perspective of people who can't move objects with their mind,
right?
And the way the weight that puts on everything that they're doing. That so when they do show up, it just makes it that much more powerful, and that's one of the things I just thought was just incredible. About
you hit that right on the head with the stormtroopers because they've been a running joke for the longest, and these stormtroopers that were occupying cities and blowing away women and children with reckless abandon are the ones that Obi-Wan Kenobi was talking about with the precision, and these are the ones So when he said we would listen to that and laugh at that.
Right,
but these are the ones.
And there's also layers to the troopers. If y'all notice, that there's the deaf troopers, there's the white troopers, there's police force. Like, I don't think people understood how deep the Empire went. It wasn't just even the ISB. It's not just the regular lieutenants we see flying ships and the white stormtroopers, and also communities that gathered around and got on board what was happening. Senators and politicians that were getting on board. I think even one of my Martha's conversations, you had people like, this is great. I'm getting food, and who cares about who's starving over here? My world is thriving. So what about the other little worlds? Like, that's real, right? So you just see this, how deep and how many levels they existed in the oppression that's taking place in the Empire. Sorry, Van, you're gonna say something in the universe, rather.
Just that idea about Mon Mothma, about Luthen, about Saw Gerrera, that when we look at all of these different people and their pushback and their idea of fomenting rebellion, they don't give you a clear black and white image of what that is supposed to be. When you take the fact that Luthen counts on the idea that at some point, if they keep squeezing, people will have no choice but to push back. He literally almost, I can't remember how he puts it, but he says that they're already being strangled. It's just that they're being strangled so slowly they don't even recognize it. I'm trying to make them get strangled.
He has some of the most realest lines in this show
ever.
Good Lord.
Right. But Marva's speech brought that home, what you're saying. I'm at the end when she was like, it's like a rust that's slowly taking over. Right. But go ahead, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, so the thing about something like that is that when you see what Luthen is doing to make these things happen, the lives that are being lost at him pushing this forward, then it doesn't necessarily put him on the side of the angels. You see what I'm saying? Because he's somebody who has decided that these people are collateral damage.
Correct.
And that the loss of their lives is worth what he sees in the end. And so that it makes you have to wrestle with this idea that even if you're somebody who thinks that you're the good guy and you believe in the concept of everyone should be free, at what point, how many people do you think you should kill before people are free? Because as long as you're willing to kill people to make people free, are you actually freedom?
That's correct.
But you know what you have to respect though, because to your point, this is not a black or white conversation, right? You have to respect. I respect the fact that Luthen was like, and I won't live to see it. Like, I'm clear what I'm doing is not for me. That's to me like super sacrificial. Right? It's almost like I'm not doing it so I can be rich, so I can be in control, so I can see a world. He said in his speech, like, I will never see this. I know what
Sacrifice.
I'm doing. Right? I know that I do not sleep at night. I know that I'm killing people for something I won't even have a taste of.
But see, that's what I'm saying.
And see the end of.
Right. But see, there's a psychological hit of that, right? Like the fact that he can easily use that to rationalize everything that he's doing. It makes it easier. So I mean, yeah, he could say that it might be true, but in a way, it could have been a defense mechanism, right, to help him reconcile with the stuff that I'm not even gonna, you know what I'm saying? And he's telling the truth. Like let's not be clear. Let's be clear. He's telling the truth.
Think about all our civil rights leaders. They knew they were going to get assassinated.
That's fact.
They woke up. Tupac even said, "Yo, I'm not going to see past what something." I mean, people was Tupac? He said, "I'm not going to see past 30." Like someone like they know. Martin Luther King knew. Malcolm knew. They knew the cost that came with this, and they knew inherently like. And I'm not even going to see the fruits of my labor because it's not about me, right? Like this is my.
But that's the admirable part that he says that tries to place him squarely on the side of protagonist, right? But to Van's point, this dude is willing to put anybody, innocence on the block right.
He's a protagonist that's intense.
So that makes it he's he's Magneto. He's got the right idea.
When Saul is like,
his methods are bad.
When even Saul is kind of like, hey man, you about to sacrifice
you about to kill me?
And Saul is Saul gangster.
Right.
Saul here for the blow up. Blow everybody up. Bump it.
Yeah. So I imagine it's real easy to rationalize it.
And I think that's the thing. That's what makes the show brilliant, is that it makes us have to wrestle with that.
Yes.
It doesn't just allow you to say, "Oh, he's leading the revolution. He's the good guy." There it is. Because because the truth is, if you ever look back historically, for every Dr. King who was out front and being seen, there were other people who were doing things that people wouldn't necessarily find palatable.
Correct.
But the question is, how much of this has to be done if you actually want liberation? What is the actual cost of liberation? That's the question that keeps coming up in the show.
Also keeps coming up to me. Gosh, there's so much going on right now. My mind's like, oh my god. Man, slow down. It's like, hit that. Take that. Right? So, like, I have to get yours with y'all. I think there's something to be said that one, Luthen is playing the Empire's game, quote unquote, for a good cause, because he's doing exactly what the Empire's doing, and he's come to peace with it. Because he said that, like, I'm using themselves against themselves. When you have to start thinking like them, right? Like I'm thinking like them and I'm moving like them to get them. And it's a dangerous game because you are teetering onto the dark side. If you're going to go over enemy lines to do that, then you have to kind of like at some point lose yourself in that character, right? So you have that going. And then to your point, I think what I love about this show too is that there's no one way to start a revolution, and if you did it one way, it probably would not exist. We need Saws, we need Luthens, we need my mouth isn't, and if I go here for our cultural moment, I think in our community, that's the thing we're not getting. Like, it's not gonna just be Martin. It's not gonna just be Malcolm. It ain't gonna just be Obama. We need different levels of this on different levels and places and spaces to happen to push the revolution forward, right? And so we all know that if Mama Martha was off the table, this would not be funded. Mm-hmm. She's important, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't have Saul willing to knock him down, hit him down, then you wouldn't have things getting done in regards to having muscle, right? If you didn't have if you had Luthen, who basically is going around agitating and recruiting, then you wouldn't even get to a Luke, right? Like that, Luke wouldn't even have something to aspire to even see a revolution. And I love the fact we have not mentioned Organa yet, nor Princess Leia, and I'm glad they didn't do it, though we know they also are key components of the revolution. Or of the Rebel Squad. Like, we haven't even been introduced to that yet, right? We haven't been introduced to any old Jedi, be it Yoda, anybody else who's also part of that, right? Because I think, for all reasons we're talking about, we can now appreciate and understand their role because we've seen their story play out and why they're so important. But to see on a ground level that none of this is happening, which is even how Rogue One ends. Like, you can't even get the Death Star prints if all what we're watching didn't take place, right? If we want to make movement, are you willing to sacrifice and do your part? Is what I hear in the show.
Right, and then I mean, to your point, like every single person on this show, like we haven't even touched on who's a kid that got crushed with the Nemec.
Yeah. Nemec. He wrote the manifesto.
He wrote a manifesto.
One of the best manifestos I've ever heard. That thing was so well written, man. It was so gangster.
Right. The fact that they went back to him.
Yeah.
Like I thought. Okay.
Yeah, because homie didn't read it when he gave when old girl gave it to him. He said he wanted you to have it, and we never read it.
Even the guy that was kind of shady that was with them, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna sell them out." Scheme. Yes.
He even sounded. His name was shady.
Right. Even the cat in the prison who knew he could not swim.
Yes, he was like...
He knew that the whole entire time. Schmeagol. Schmeagol knew, because that's the guy who played Schmeagol in Lord of the Rings. Don't put that out there, because I'm a geek.
Claw.
A.K.A. Schmeagol. A.K.A. he played a lot of different things. But, Claw, Schmeagol, the cat's talented. Mm-hmm. He knew from the door...
Andy Serkis.
He knew from the door that he could not swim. But we have to move this thing forward.
Right.
We have to, it's one way out.
I'll do it.
And they just cut away. They were just like...
Yeah. You know what happened. Yes.
But I love that.
Yes.
Because either one or two things happened. Either he wanted to took his life. At the end of the day, he was the leader in that moment to move the rebellion that close. And the guy who actually escaped with Cassian.
Cassian was like, go.
Shows up. He shows up in Rogue One is my point. He becomes a key part of the rebellion as well, right? And they bonded right there in jail. So there's these small parts, just like we said, of like, if we're paying attention, people, like Legacy, Dynasty, like anything else, we have to figure out what our part is, and we have to be able to willing to participate. No one is going to give us our freedom.
Right. And then it's funny because, like, with Rogue One, every person, whether you liked them or not, Wally.
See, this is where we go left. Man, I wish you were here in person. See, this is where I make faces and nobody can see where I make faces. Here we go. Why you got to call Wally? Why you going to agitate him? He's been doing so well the whole episode, Ryan. I think we have to change it. He is no longer over civility. He is now the agitator.
So I'm looking.
That's a Suge Knight. No, that's when Suge Knight come out.
I've been good, man.
Right. Okay. All right.
What was you gonna say? Everybody ain't like Rogue.
Everybody. Yes, I was gonna say that everybody played their part in Rogue One. Mm-hmm. If one of those people did not play their role, that whole plan would have fell apart. And that plan was shaky at best.
It barely went through.
Yeah, if dude didn't sacrifice himself and plug the thing in, they wouldn't.
Can we talk about the irony that Cassian's killed about the thing he was building? I'm gonna leave that right there.
Yeah, that was dope.
Mm-hmm. The little end credit that you were killed by the very thing
that you pieced
together. But there's a line that Cassian says that I think a lot of people didn't pay attention to is when he's coming out of jail, and I think it was Smeagol. I was like, Smeagol. Y'all know how I am. Smeagol, that's
his name was Kino, I think.
It was Kino. But Smeagol sounds so much better. Y'all know who Smeagol is. So, now you want to give order, okay?
Yes.
So Kino, remember he was trying to convince Kino that we should do it, and Kino said that looks like power to me. He said, "No, it looks like fear to me," and I thought that was deep. And he broke down how the Empire is scared because if they weren't, they wouldn't have executed all those men. If they weren't, they wouldn't. And so he said,
oppression is the mask of fear. That was the most gangster.
Power doesn't pass.
Most gangster.
Say it one more time, like that.
I was like, I literally paused the show. I said,
Son.
what?
Say the line again, Wally.
Oppression is the mask of fear.
Son, only
said,
you know why?
that's facts.
That's what's happening right now as we speak in our world.
And it's been happening for a long time.
So, you know,
it ain't new.
It's not new. It's actually the oldest trick in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vanny, I don't know if you want to jump in on that, but it's just, historically, it's just like, they've been using that, and I was like, and we know it. It's happening right now. I'm sorry, Van, go ahead.
It's just the ideas that the show keeps pushing forward are just they're universal in that way, and the way it's interesting to have been in love with a franchise this large for so many years, and the most impressive thing that you've ever heard from it was a speech. You know what I'm saying? And not one speech, several different speeches. It's like up to this point, the book. If you ask me what did I love the most, I wouldn't say, "Oh, there was this lifesaver fight." The first time I saw Darth Maul and he had the double edge,
right?
And then all of a sudden, now you ask me, it's like, well, I have to choose between one of these speeches.
The monologue
that's impressive.
That Luthen gave. He said, "Man, forget your family.
It's funny,
you can't leave."
No, but you know what? You mentioned somebody. Darth Maul speeches also are deep. But you gotta watch.
What in Rebels?
Rebels and Clone Wars. Darth knew all of this, and Darth was trying to get out. He was trying I see where this is going, and he was trying to go left. So Darth also used to drop some nuggets, but
that Luthen speech though,
Luthen,
the most.
I had to play it over and over again.
Absolutely. The people that write this kind of stuff, man.
It was almost like he pulled a lightsaber out and just went.
But it was also his delivery.
Correct.
It was also because he had passion, but yet he wasn't yelling. It was conviction without
Academy Award
passion without moving.
Yes.
I mean, it was riveting. It was great. It was like, dang, I don't know what just happened.
He said everything about his character in one.
You learned who he was.
Yes.
Well,
you know what I'm saying. And when he told that dude, you can't be a family man. Sorry.
You're right.
Your family means nothing.
Nothing. And the reason it works. The reason that it works is because the guy asked him, well, what do you sacrifice?
Yes. And so, man, that's when he went in.
And when he starts saying what he's sacrificing, what you recognize is he has been thinking about this for a long time.
Yes, sir. It's been weighing on him.
Over the last 15 years, he recognized that there were things that he was going to have to let go of. That at some point, just by listening to the speech, that you know that there were people that he loved that he knew he would never see again if he was going to do what he had committed himself to do. And that at some he came to that realization. So it wasn't like he had to think about it for a moment. He just was able to
He'd been holding it in. He had been holding it in. I would love to see the show with him in it, with the whole backstory and all of that, and what he's lost.
Quote, the backstory might be, and it's just a theory. And people want to hate it, but I'm actually not mad at it, is that he is actually a Jedi. And he's a Jedi who, Order 66, has now moved into this direction. And it's believable because if you listen to the speech, some of the things he's talking about is walking that fine line that Jedis are taught to walk. Like it's either light or dark. You don't get to play in the middle.
Well, he closer to Sith.
You can't.
Exactly.
But that's why some of the pieces of the speech sound a lot like things you hear Yoda not do, like don't tip into the dark, like a lot of things that Jedi wrestle with, because Anakin was wrestling with the same thing, if you recall, right? And he gave completely into that side. And I think what we're watching is like, again, like we said earlier, like you may have to play this game a little bit. So the theory is, I forgot which one they think he is, but we believe he might be a fallen Jedi who's now committed to Rebel. And I'm saying I'm okay with it because, again, we get to see a level of Star Wars that's more about intellectual and politics opposed to lightsaber. So in my mind, if I found that he was a Jedi, I'm not mad.
Oh, I think it would be dope.
But don't forget, he also
if they did that reveal.
He's carrying a crystal, which is his lightsaber crystal.
Right.
There's little things in the shop.
And that cloak, he walking around with it.
I mean, but in his shop, there's a lot of Easter eggs in his shop that shows that he has some understanding of Jedi Order in the universe. So, again, Beknownst to folks, we might be getting Jedi action or Jedi stuff happening without it being just over.
Well, all the stuff with the ship, when he put it work with the ship,
man, some of the best action scenes.
Son.
And it was quick. It wasn't
right.
But it was some of the best.
He got some of the best technology. Oh, can I talk about that for a second? Digress, but come back to it. I'm loving in this show, because it's supposed to take place before, New Hope.
Yep.
The hair, the electronics, they're all very 1980, 1978. Like the feel of them, they don't look too futuristic. Futuristic where you could believe it happened in the 80s. And I love the detail, I guess my point, the attention to detail to create a universe that, even though we're in 2022, they gave it a feel as if you were back in 1978 before New Hope came out. Like they aged
practical,
they
practical
aged
effects.
the universe,
Right?
So the universe would still feel appropriate, which I think was a complaint when we had the prequels, because the prequels felt very much so
plastic.
Well, that's because George had all the stuff toys he couldn't play with when he made it. He pulled all them toys out. I was like, well, son, this stuff looks way more advanced, and I get it, because I was defended. But I think they're being very intentional by giving
making
stuff
good and grimy.
I mean, hairstyles, fashion, everything, the cars, everything still feels like it's in that era. So I just wanted to shout out that, again, the detail of attention in the show is amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Even the droids have emotional weight to them. Like what was it? Was it Mima or
you talking about Marvel's droid?
B2MO.
B2MO.
Yeah.
Man,
like when you saw the perspective, like they even filmed the perspective of the droid. Like when Marva died.
Yeah.
Like it was almost like
Yeah.
The droid, like.
I was waiting for JC to say, see a droid cry or something like that. Like,
I mean, he practically did. Remember, he said, he wanted to be with his family. I don't want to leave the house. Will you spend the night with me?
Right.
He got to stay the night because he didn't want to leave the house because he still wanted to be there with. Man,
those little touches were really nice. I ain't
gonna lie, I shedded a couple of tears. I shed a tear.
You do a glory tear?
No, I did do a glory tear. The breakout was a glory tear. That breakout was emotional. It was like.
Oh yeah,
it was like watching a slave movie and they took the boat over.
Oh wow!
I was like, take the ship. Y'all laughing, but if it was that emotional for me, like, yes, brothers, get out, take the ship.
Right, I felt bad for the old guy. Like when he passed away, I was like, oh.
It was just like, And
the doctor was, and it was weird. It was weird because the doctor was at first the doctor was being an a-hole. Like he was just
he was being gay, but he was being true.
Was he? No, I think he had.
Well, no, that's what I was going to say.
He knew what jaded and no.
Yeah, he
was like, we're not getting out of here.
Well, and what I was going to say was what
he was saying. He's better off.
Well, what I was going to say was he came off that way, and then like in the span of 5 minutes, I was like, no, this dude ain't so bad. He's really telling the truth, right? And he's trying to help.
Right. He has seen some things.
Right.
Because don't forget, at that point of the show, we didn't hear about the guys being fried. We didn't hear about the other
200.
So what the doctor knew that the rest of us didn't know was, y'all not going nowhere. There is no 100 days. That 100 days you're gonna cycle to another floor, and be back at it again. Like because the doctor's floating around seeing this.
Right.
So he at this point is like, which is why I love at the end when they were escaping that you saw his face, because it caught. They had a moment where he was just in full shock because he came to so much peace of defeat.
Right. He was like, I'm good. This is what it is. I reconciled it. This is what it is.
It's like he couldn't move. I mean, that thing was so real. It was knocking people over.
It was heavy, man.
That I cried for that, and I cried at Marva's funeral, not because she passed.
But she started a riot with it from the grave. She kicked that thing off from the grave. Yeah,
she said F the Empire.
Yeah,
y'all didn't see that part. They kind of mouthed over it, but she was.
She was like, fight them,
get them.
They all jumped up,
get them.
Like she playing that speech like, I'm gonna die and I'm gonna light the fire from the grave. I'm gonna light
pretty much.
So gangster, man.
But just like Luthen, she already knew that she was gonna do it. That's why she didn't leave to begin with.
That's correct.
She was already resolute in this.
Yeah, it was already done. Like. Yeah, this is what I'm gonna do.
And then there's one more thing, and then I know we can probably wrap up. There was that, and then I want to know what you guys' thought on what do you think about Mon Mothma's role? Because I think we're watching her story, and in the end where she set her husband up. I don't know if anybody else peeped that.
No, I told Ryan. I was like, that is not. That is so
cold. She did that so cold.
Yeah, that is not. That is
to the point that dude was like, what?
No. She was just laying the groundwork. She was like, okay, look, I got a lot of money out here that they're trying to trace. So let me just go ahead and put
But the thing is, her husband has no idea that she was doing it.
No,
that's the part I love.
They have an arranged deal. This is not.
Well, what I love is I think people are sleeping on her. She's a woman. She's soft. She's money, and she's just for the people. And she is so strategic in everything she's doing right now, and I love it.
Well, and I like that she thought quick, because she was up against the wall for a lot of it. Like, they were like, look, hey, the money.
Right.
We seeing the trails. Funny. Yeah. And then also too, like, I like how they set it up where you're not sure who's listening in on who. So like the driver. I don't know if the driver's on her team or on ISB.
He's not. He was reported to the ISB on the last episode.
Okay, so was
him at ISB. That was the driver telling the guy at ISB, yeah, I heard this conversation. And then that's the ISB guy was saying back, well, we didn't notice this, but now what you heard makes sense. So it worked. So basically she threw off the scent. He's like, they always complaining and fighting about money.
Okay.
So the setup worked.
Well, I guess every time she would ask for privacy, like, they would always shoot it in a way where it's like, well,
do they really have it?
Did he really cut it off?
We're assuming he's one,
right?
But now it's confirmed at the end.
Yeah. Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. All right,
I think one of the things that let's see, I'm trying to figure out. Well, let me just say it as I hear it, as I understand it. One of the things that I think sticks out about this show for Black people that watch it, that probably doesn't resonate as much for anyone else, is that what we're seeing is all of these different levels of people having to figure out how to navigate their life through an oppressive regime. So, and I know someone will hear this and they will say, well, America's not an oppressive regime.
Lies.
But what happens is the disconnect a lot of times with Black America and other people in America is that other people in America, whenever they hear about racism, they think, well, if that happens, I'm going to do this. If someone does that to my Black friend, then we're going to fight and we're going to do this and that.
No, you're not.
Black people who have to deal with all different types of racism every day realize you can't fight every day. Right. You have to figure out what you're doing is, we don't vote for most of the people we vote for because it's going to end racism. We vote for them because it's the most incremental thing we can do at that moment to navigate a little bit around what's happening. All we're ever doing is navigating racism. We hope that we can destroy racism, but systemic racism, which is what we're talking about. But we're figuring out how to navigate it. And some of us, as Wish mentioned earlier, people are navigating it and they're having to push back in their own way. But it's a natural response to do it. And it goes back to what I forget the guy's name we were talking about earlier, the young guy who wrote the manifesto. So there's a piece in there, and I've got it pulled up, and he says, Nemec, and he says, freedom is a pure idea. It occurs spontaneously and without instruction. Random acts of insurrection are occurring constantly throughout the galaxy. There are whole armies, battalions that have no idea that they're already enlisted in the cause. And that's the basic idea of what it's like a lot of times for us, is that everything for us is an act of some sort of insurrection. If you choose to go into the office with your hair growing out of the head the way God made you, that's an act of rebellion for us. You see what I'm saying? Even the way we wear our hair is an act of rebellion. And we are constantly making the choice every day of how much rebellion we can stand to put up on this day. And that's the reason I think this resonates for a lot of Black people that have watched the show in ways that it might not resonate for other people, because everybody else thinks that rebellion is just, well, pick up your guns and let's go fight and storm the Capitol
or picket sign.
And it's like no, rebellion for us a lot of times meant taking a little bit of extra food and taking it back to the cabin families to be fed.
It is racism, but it's also just this idea of suppression and elitism and socialism that is happening across this globe. And, for people of color, Black and brown people, that being used against us to make us feel like we're inferior is part of the whole larger game of power and selfishness and fascism, which is what we're dealing with, right? And so, there's this fear in that. There's this fear in it.
Yeah, I think that's what. Getting back to the question on like people not watching it, I think that's the aggravating part of it. It's like, this show is spitting. Like it's a hip hop album.
It's a TED Talk. It's a master's class.
Yeah, and they're using
Even where Cassian came from. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but the same way like Black Panther or Wakanda Forever are saying some things. Andor is doing some of that work as well. It's not going blacky, y'all, but it's
plain. I mean, it's world power and politically political.
Yeah,
right. If we think about what Europeans have done globally, so I'm gonna go left a little bit. And Van, I don't know if you heard about this, but I'm gonna bring it back. I just learned today that the swastika actually was an ancient Asian symbol, Hindu, I believe, for peace and prosperity. It's like an actual yoga pose, right? Like the actual symbol itself was Columbus. I'm like, y'all Columbus and hate? Like, you know, like y'all taking symbols and flipping, like you can't make your own symbol. I mean, but my point is, there is an intentionality of going in. If you know, and also they said that the swastika can be found in Egypt as well, because it had a higher vibration and meaning to people of color before they tried to flip it on its head and make it what we know today, an offensive symbol of the
mission
Nazis.
Accomplished.
But it shouldn't, because again, it's almost like there's just this whole thing of even taking resources, which is really big in Star Wars. People don't talk about it enough. But what Palpatine is doing, which has also been done by other European countries, is going to other places and take actual resources, which happened to Cassian's planet, right? They're taking crystal and all this other stuff to make these other things, yada yada, boom boom, stick stick. But there is a bigger thing happening when we believe, when you have an oppressor who can go in and try to recreate your history because they know they're doing something wrong. And why people are so uncomfortable with the conversation is exactly what Cassian said. Because you know you're wrong. It's fear and oppression. And you always looking over your back because you know that you're taking things and one day these people might want their ish back.
Right.
And you steady preparing for the day because you don't know what's going to happen because you know you're wrong for taking it to begin with.
Right.
And that is hurting people today, because when you hear a world that's constantly tired of hearing that the tanning of America is real, that you are going to become the less population, that you are the minority. But by the way, spoiler, you're already the minority, because there are more people of color on the planet Earth than there are people who are not of color, if you want to play that game. So like when you're trying to prepare for that, you start doing things like we see today that is plain plot foolish and disrespectful.
Right.
And I'm done. That's my TED Talk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the thing that impressed me most about Cassian's character, I just loved how he read people, situations,
he's the
scenarios.
He's the Batman of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, like he was like, you favor your right hand versus your left.
Yeah.
I mean, he was. Yeah. I mean.
But it's effortless. That's just who he is.
I mean, he had to survive. He's literally a creature of survival. I keep getting thrown into one scenario after another, and how do I get out of it?
Brown. Like, yo, don't think I'm stupid because I'm a drug dealer. I'm probably the most educated person in the room. Did he say that?
Miss
Did Nino Brown say that?
Hawkins.
He said I'm the most educated person in this room. I mean, whatever, but...
Miss Hawkins.
Closing thoughts.
Best Star Wars show ever.
I'll let Van go.
Go ahead, Van. That's all I got.
Yeah, I look forward to season 2. I recognize, I'll be honest, I don't think after season 2 we're going to get a lot more things like this unless those numbers shoot up, exponentially. But so I'm just going to savor what we get in season 2 because I know it'll be great. But yeah, I would just encourage anybody who's watching it to encourage other people to watch it. Give it a chance to encourage other people to watch it, because it's brilliant storytelling. It's storytelling at its finest on every level.
Right.
It's up to what the boys.
Yeah, and to echo what you're saying, I really feel like the thing about sci-fi, right? And I'm not getting in a long speech here. The thing about sci-fi, right, is it's able to point out something and make it something that's real and make it fiction, but it also points out the issue or the problem. Like you take Star Trek, like they talk about all the ills, all the things that we have, all the trauma and pain that we've caused as humanity. And well, what if you show a future where we're not doing that. We're not going to be on some racist mess. We're not going to be on, all this classism stuff. So, Star Wars is doing that finally. Like, I really feel like they're really digging deep here, and I hate to say that I agree with you. If this doesn't pick up, and people are just used to the, hey, where's the whiz bang? I don't know. Like I'm struggling here with it because it's almost like I hate that sounds like a pessimistic view. But I'm getting really tired of people just going, well, if you don't, Star Wars, just give me a lightsaber.
Yeah, it's too many options.
But then they can watch Black Panther and go, oh, it's the greatest, it's talking about all this. But like,
sir, people are hating on Black Panther.
Yeah,
well, that too.
Yeah, that's another conversation.
Yeah,
that's
another conversation. But
I'm also saying to agree with you. I mean, you finished.
Yeah, if we're not careful, I guess what I'm saying is, if we're not careful and we just want to just be entertained all the time.
Not that this wasn't entertaining.
Right.
But people want to be sheep.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound elitist. Like, I can watch an action movie and go, that was just brainless fun. But when something is doing something like this, and it doesn't get any credit, it just really it bothers me for some reason.
Yeah.
Like,
I think here's the thing I think you got to keep in mind though. If even what it really means is that we just won't be getting this from Star Wars, because we also had Peacemaker this year.
Yeah, exactly.
And Peacemaker was about hard right wing politics and its pitfalls. Yeah. We also had The Boys this year, which was about the overreaching of capitalism.
Yeah, same thing.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. So we got some really strong narratives this year. Even She-Hulk, which was a comedy, and it was about the pitfalls of
mental health and all kinds of stuff,
trying to be strong and be a woman, and without people telling you what you're supposed to be.
Yep.
So we're getting the messaging, but unfortunately, it's just Star Wars seems to be a place where that messaging isn't being well received.
And we'll see. And to your point,
that's a good point.
And we'll see, which is why it's like it's happening across the board.
That's true.
People asking for watered down content. They want McDonald's. They don't want to buy real food. I mean, we've been living with this on different kinds of levels.
We've been fed candy all of
right.
Candy and ice cream.
Right. So, but
don't want steak.
But my final thoughts. You guys said it all. I love Andor. I think you guys know I'm a hardcore Star Wars fan. I think it's great. Admittedly, I didn't know what to think about it. Right, like I was like, but I'm glad they did it. I cannot wait to season 2. This experiment that they're running that you mentioned earlier, I do hope it works, but they're putting on more mass platforms, because you're right. It might be a numbers game. Everybody don't have Disney Plus. You might have to feed it to the masses. But it was a brilliant show, and for me, I do think it's another great blueprint for community and movement, and I think we need to pay attention. There's a lot of things like Van just ran down that people ain't playing. Like they're making it really clear. Like, pay attention.
Right.
Pay attention.
Yeah, this is a masterclass.
Right, and I hope we are paying attention. And even as radical as I sound, I want this to be better for our children's children, and we have to do our part in this rebellion. So with that, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you, Van. Once again, thank you so much for your insight, man.
Hey, I'm always glad to join you guys. Enjoy talking with you. I don't get a chance, as I always say, I never get a chance to really rant for long spans of time on geek culture on my own show. So I got to take it where I can get it.
You ought to force their way in on that, man. It's your show. I mean,
you would think I'd be able to pull that off, wouldn't you?
Yeah, this is your show, especially if it touches on themes that you often highlight on your show. Man, wedge that in there.
But you're always welcome back here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you always have a seat here, brother.
Absolutely. Patreon.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Love you guys.
Listen, man. Patreon.com/EST1982 podcast. EST1982 podcast is the Facebook group as well as Instagram. Hit us up on the website EST1982podcast.com, and please let us know what you think. Please be one of those who are rallying behind this continued quality of content in the Star Wars universe, because I think you're right. We probably won't see anything like this ever again after the season 2, which is unfortunate. But give us your thoughts again. Van, thanks again for your insight. And until next time, people, well, I'll let you.